Hello and welcome to this session. You might remember in the last session we looked at prime factor trees, and I said that was going to be important because we're going to use that to show us relationships of other numbers. We're going to do that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick revision of how we find prime factors. So we're going to do 60 and we're going to do 96. The reason I've chosen two numbers is because we can get straight on with looking at those relationships. Now if you might remember, those relationships are highest common factor and lowest common multiple. So let's start by looking at this number. Now because it ends in a 0, we can actually use a little bit of a cheat. We could start halving this and have 30 and 2 and go down that way. That's absolutely fine. A little bit more time consuming, but absolutely fine. Or the little cheat is to have a look at this and we can say, well, 6 times 10 is 60. So we can trim that right down. 6 and 10 aren't prime numbers. If you remember those excluded lists, 2, 4, 6 and 8 are excluded from prime numbers. So those numbers can be broken down even further. To make 6, 2 and 3, and to make 10, 2 and 5. 2, is that prime? If you remember your list, yes, it is. It's the only even prime number. 3 is also prime, and so is 5. So we've gone as far as we can with that. So now that that's done, I'm just going to write down the prime factors that will give us 60. Remember that exam question. Write 60 as a product of its prime factors. So all that I'm going to do, 2 times 3 times 2 times 5. But remember, if you do want that extra mark in an exam, you have to use integer form. 2 to the power of 2 times 3 times 5. And in actual fact, you might find that this will help you when we're looking at those highest common factors and those common multiples. Let's work on 96. Now 96 again can be divided by 2, or the more eagle-eyed among you will realise that actually 32 will fit into that as well. So we can do 32 times 3. The reason that you might be able to recognise that is because you know that 3 goes into 9 3 times and 2 goes into 6 3 times. That's how we can work that one out. 3 is prime, so we can circle that. We already know it's prime because we did that over here. 32, well that can be broken up into 16 and 2. Again, half of 30 is 15, half of 2 is 1, add them together, 16. 2 is prime, we've already done that one. 16, that can be made with 2 and 8. 2 is prime, 8 isn't, so that is 4 and 2. 2 is prime, 4 is 2 and 2, both prime. And again, write 96 as a product of its prime factors. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. It's a lot of 2's, isn't it? And this is why I was trying to teach you this integer method, because we can shorten all that into a nice clean integer to look at. What we do is we look at the products, the factors that we have, 2 and 3, and we add up how many of each we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we have 1, 3. We don't have any other numbers there. So that's that. Okay, well what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of these product trees because we don't need them anymore. We already have the prime factors over here. So let's get rid of this. And let's get rid of this. Okie doke. Right. Now that we've broken down those two numbers, 96 and 60, into their prime factors, we can start to compare those numbers. And again, that's important for cybersecurity, and it's also important for your GCSE exam. You're probably not going to use this after that point. In fact, the only other time I have used that is on a game called Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I believe, and it's one of the little mini games. So GCSEs did help us there, saved us Googling the answers on IGN. Now, what we do to compare is we look at what prime factors they share. Okay, the way that you can do that, two different ways. You can either list the numbers and overlay them, or you can just look at these integer forms that we have here. So these numbers here share 2, 3. This does have a 5 and this one doesn't, so we can get rid of that. So they share 2 and 3 as prime factors. Then we look at what they share. That has 2 and that has 5, so there's a 2 overlap. So they share 2. How many 3's do they share? Well, just 1. So we can write it like that. 2 to the power of 2 times 3. That is actually how you find the highest common factor. All that you're doing is you're looking at what they share. Now, these two numbers, 60 and 96, share 2 to the power of 2 times 3. Otherwise known as 2 times 2 times 3. Those are the prime factors that they share. When you answer an exam, what is the highest common factor of 60 and 96? You would do that. That would be 1 mark for your working out, and then you would just work that out. 2 to the power of 2, you might know is 4, or you could just do 2 times 2, which is also 4. So 2 to the power of 2 is 4 times 3 gives us 12. That means that the highest common factor of 60 and 96 is 12. Lowest common multiple is another way that we can compare numbers. Back in the olden days, when I was at school, we used to have to list the multiples of 60 and the multiples of 96, and we had to see which number appeared in the list first. It works, but it is very time consuming, and it will go on and on and on. Instead of this, if you already have a prime factor tree like this, you can use the prime factors that you've got. So what we do is we say, what prime factors are there? Well, we have 2, we have 3, and we have 5. So we write those out. 2, 3, and 5. Now what we're looking at is we're looking at which one appears most. Or sorry, let me rephrase that. We're looking at which number has the most of that prime factor. So, for instance, this one, 60 only has 2 2's as a prime factor. However, 96 has 5. So we're going to use that one. Then we look at 3. Which one has more 3's? Well, they both have the same, so we just keep that the same. That's just 3. Then we look at 5. Well, only one of them has 5, so we're just going to keep that as is as well. Now, if we do 2 to the power of 5 times 3 times 5, we will find the lowest common multiple. I don't expect you to work it out, or rather I would in the exam, but I'm going to save you that pain now and tell you that that is 460. But the way that you would work that out, do your 2 to the power of 5, then times that by 3, and then times that by 5, and you're going to get the answer. That is how you work out your lowest common multiple and your highest common factor. Again, you're going to use that in the cybersecurity industry if you want to get involved in that, or you're going to use it for your GCSE exams. And these can be easy marks as long as you remember that procedure. Thank you for listening, I hope that this helps.